together at 5 o'clock on February 10th. Roll call, please.
Councilman Alms,
Here.
Councilman Morissette,
Here,
and Councilman Hall.
excused. All right, number 2 or 3, excuse me, approval of the January 6th meeting minutes. Any corrections, Bill?
I don't see anything from what I watched. I wasn't here, of course, that meeting, but I'll move to approve.
And I'll second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Moving right into the items on the agenda, number 4, stop sign on St. Croix Street and Bear Drive. And I had asked Chief Williams to put this on, Willems, to put this on the agenda, not only just because it's been becoming a problem as it's winter, but if there's other reasons that we could possibly pull that one. And is it Dean or Jeff that Joyce gave you some info on it, on her thoughts about that?
Yeah, Joyce talked to me after the council meeting on Monday about it. So a couple things. First of all, I'm just curious, have you been hearing from constituents out there that have been having issues with it? Or
Well, I know of one person, and it happens to be my son, that got stuck on that hill, but there was a bunch of people on that same snowstorm. So I'm assuming this is happening more than once.
Okay.
I don't know if Jeff, you know that or not for a fact, or
I don't. I have not heard any complaints other than the one you talked to me about with your son.
So I did also check with our public works people to see if they've had any complaints, because they'll hear about it oftentimes when that happens, and they haven't had any really since we switched that to an always stop a little over a year ago. So this is the second winter that intersection has been an always stop. Some suggestions that Joyce and I talked about are that, and I don't know, there's another community that she was referring to. I can't remember which one off the top of my head here, but when they have areas that may be slippery and people have problems getting up the hills, they actually, whatever community it says, will put out like a bucket of salt and sand mix or something, and in case somebody gets stuck there, like it'll just be there in case, and they just have a scoop in there, so you can just put some in front of your wheels and try it out to see if they can get some more traction and get up the hill. So I thought that was an interesting potential solution. The thing with this is it's since we changed, it's a seasonal issue, and I mean it hasn't been that long since we changed it to an always stop, and kind of the whiplash factor. I don't know.
has it been a year?
It's been a little over a year. I think it was in fall of 2020 that we made that change.
So I'm assuming the data we have as far as crashing and speeding, do we have any of that yet for that since we've installed it?
The crash records are not complete for 2021 through the system, so to speak, the crash data system that Wisconsin uses. So they might be partially complete, but I don't think it's fully complete. I haven't heard of any crashes out there, but we can look into it some more.
Jeff, offhand?
Offhand, I don't know, but that's a pretty easy report for us to run. So.
Has the complaints all stopped about the issues we had prior?
I remember getting one email, I can't remember who it was from or when it was, that was upset about it being there.
I know who you're talking about.
Okay, but I haven't gotten any more complaints on right-of-way issues or speed issues regarding that intersection.
So that tells me we should leave it. Recommendation? Dean, Jeff?
I would recommend leaving it for now.
I just have one quick question, if I may. The hill on Vine going down between Second and First, what's the grade difference between that and what we're talking about here?
Oh, put me on the spot, Bill.
I mean, not like, I mean, is it as steeper, not as steep?
Steeper.
The Vine Hill is much steeper than the Bear Hill that we're talking about. Probably roughly twice as steep on Vine, I would say.
Gotcha. Sorry, I wasn't looking for a
No,
specific.
okay.
I didn't mean to throw you off there, but yeah.
Any other further discussion? I don't think we need any formal action
No.
on it.
Okay. Because we're not changing it, right?
No.
Yeah, I would agree.
Thank you, everybody. Item B, Public Safety Committee Ordinance Review. This is coming down from Aaron. He had mentioned it, I think, at full council. Who's leading on this one, Jeff?
Well, I think it's for you guys to review to see if you want to make any changes to the way you're structured or set up or governed by, and then
Well,
refer any changes. So.
I could background, this is something that I kind of talked with the mayor and Aaron about, just reviewing all our different committees,
Right.
just to see if, is it written properly and all that. The only thing that I saw with public safety, what is it? A subsection 3, right? Public safety committee shall be responsible for police, fire, parking, utilities, civil defense, ambulance, nuisance, and animal control matters. The only question I have, I guess, for the group is, do we need to put like events in there? Because I know events is a very big function, or does that fall under police and maybe we don't have to add it?
I think Jeff would be better to answer that than.
Well, yeah, we have. The events are different a little bit because we have the public safety element to the event, but there's permits and there's barricades that are ordered from Public Works from time to time and things like that wouldn't necessarily be under me. So they get the permit and the application from Public Works Department, and then we review it and we approve or deny it in this committee. So
we're not responsible for it technically.
Right. Not the whole right. Event, just a piece of it.
Yep. Okay.
And I guess to clarify that section is an oversight committee on those certain departments. It really is kind of what we're doing. But I think if you guys have any suggestions for maybe our next meeting, if we need to go through it again, we can bring it up then. Is that fair? Bill? Yeah.
Well, yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't know if the question was more.
Well, it was a general question. So.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see anything. I mean,
anything that needs to be changed?
No. I mean, it's stating what we're seeing purview over. Is there, I guess my only question is there anything that we are seeing or aren't seeing that we should add, or obviously not subtract, but
I don't know if there is anything.
I don't know that there is either. So then my question is, do we need to even come back and talk about it? I don't see a reason to come back and talk about it, unless, I guess the only other question would be the third member of this committee taking a look.
Well, in fairness to Joyce, if she has a concern, she can raise it again, and then we can talk about it at our next meeting.
Sounds good.
And again, I don't think we need any formal action on this.
Very good.
Unless you want to just say we are not taking any action on the ordinance review to make it official. But if you were leaving it open for, well, anybody can bring it back at any time.
I mean, I don't know. I would move to recommend that we're not making any changes to the current.
Okay. And I'll second that, because since there is some motion, we can pass that on to council the right way, I guess. So is there any further discussion from anybody else? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Number C, 4C, CAD funding discussion. I had asked that this come back to committee now that we kind of know what we can do with our ARPA funds. And I know that Aaron Reeves had a conversation today with Ken Witt at the county. And the latest email, John Mueller, I think you saw that as well, that we are kind of on a green light to go ahead and we would upfront this cost And that the county would also work their portion of the annual budget section of this at their next budget cycle. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Mueller.
No, that's what I understand as well. And I had a conversation with Bill earlier today, and just mentioned that we will, knowing this now, we will push it forward on our end to do what we can to get the funding that we need to keep this going long term for the annual maintenance fees or subscriber fee that comes along with that. So we'll get the ball rolling on our end. So I think we have some really good momentum, and we want to keep that going, and it will be a good thing for all of us in the end. So that's good news.
Yeah, I'm excited that we can get this done and just give that extra safety out there to our residents and constituents about cutting that time. It might not be a lot, but every second counts.
Yeah,
I
and
see that. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. More importantly, I think it allows the dispatch center to focus more on one less task and really the task at hand. So I think that really is one of the biggest benefits, and the accuracy of the data that's being pushed over the phone by voice, person to person, versus going from a computer to a computer.
And I do see that Terry and Brent are on. If you had any comments to add. Also, I see representatives from the town of Troy, Susan Van Meely's on. If there's any comments, feel free to jump in on the Zoom. Matthew?
If I may add, actually, it will contribute to the paramedic crews responding, their safety as well. They'll be able to focus less on the actual radio communications, more on the route and the road. It'll improve times.
Matt, can you identify yourself for the record as well, too?
Yes, absolutely. So I am Matthew Canifax. I'm with Lakeview Ambulance. I'm the new operations supervisor. I took over for Bridget Murphy when she exited. So I just wanted to add too that it'll help response times, paramedic safety, and public safety, really.
It's a win-win for our partners and everybody that's involved with this Lakeview. Susan, you have a comment. Welcome.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify what will happen with Hudson is upfronting the cost of upgrading the dispatch system for St. Croix County, and you mentioned something about the St. Croix County budget. Are they going to reimburse you, or is it?
Maybe John might be able to answer it better than I can. But this is an upfront cost. But yes, we have to work those details out a little tighter, if that's right, John.
Yeah, and I think Bill actually. I don't want to kick this back to you, Bill, but I think you have more of the details than I do. I think
Yes.
the most recent details.
Yeah, if I may, Mr. Chair.
Yep.
So this morning we had an EMS Oversight Committee meeting with Lakeview there. Brent and Terry from the county were in attendance as well. So my understanding is there's an upfront cost to implement, which would include the first year's fee, if I'm getting that correct.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a fee that would go to the county and a fee that would need to be covered for Alina's side. And so what we are talking about, Suzanne, I believe, is that the city of Hudson would pay for that upfront cost to get it going. And then the ongoing costs beyond this year, we got notification from Ken at the county that they would fold that into their budgeting. And so they would carry that cost moving forward. But then there's also this Alina fee that I think Mr. Mueller was talking about working on covering on your end. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct, Bill. So, our because this is so valuable to all of us, and I don't want to lose this momentum, I think, we're going to try some different funding sources on our end to see if we can get some foundation money to help support that. And then moving forward long term, eventually that would just get folded into our operational budget. Now, the other piece of that too, I do want to talk to Alina and see if we can split that cost, but I don't want this to go away. So I think, we're fairly committed to it. I'm not going to promise that, but we won't let that go away because we don't want to help support it, is what I think I can safely say today.
Okay,
If
and
that
that's is that the 30,000 or 35,000?
Well, it's split. The fee for the county and the dispatch center, which is Alina, that's $15,000 a year. And
Right.
and Terry and Brent, correct me if I'm wrong, but the upfront cost is kind of everything to get it going. It includes that subscription fee. I think that's what they call it. And that is, like most computer software programs, there's that subscription fee or maintenance fee. Everyone calls it something different. So that will be an ongoing cost. That's the piece that on our end, we would like to keep that going. So, I'm going to look for other sources. If it falls back on us, then we're going to have to take care of it.
Okay,
And Randy, if I can, my name's Terry Anderson. I'm the Emergency Communications Manager for the county. I will take and send a request to Central Square to freshen the quote since it was in the fall, the last time they addressed it, to make sure it hasn't changed. And then I will share that information as soon as I get that. But yeah, it's equal shares is just shy of 70,000 to initiate this software. And then like John had indicated that it's about a 15,000 for each side annually then to maintain it.
Yeah, that's a much appreciated for getting the updated. Last time it dropped quite a bit, so maybe it drops some more, but the way things are going right now, cost wise, might not be. So hopefully we can lock in too, Terry.
I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, thank you. Susan, did that answer most, or at least make a bigger question for you?
yeah, that's pretty much what what I understand is Hudson is upfronting the cost, which is 70,000, right?
Yeah, well, I've actually requested 100,000 to be upfront. But
Okay.
if whatever, yes.
Okay, all right. I do understand what it is. So,
And
sounds
like I say,
great.
the finer details are going to have to be nailed down, and as we go forward. But
Sure.
like John had said, this is too valuable, I think, for what we can accomplish with it. Everybody's going to benefit.
Especially the patient,
Exactly.
which could be any one of us someday.
Yep. Hopefully not in a long time. Knock on wood.
Right.
Any other comments, Brent? Did you have anything or?
Yeah, I think maybe it'd be helpful just to give what we anticipate a timeline would be once we sign on the dotted line. But for the record, I'm Brent Standard. I'm a captain with the sheriff's office. In general, most of these implementations that we're entering into with Central Square usually take from 6 to 9 months from the time we sign until we hopefully go live. So, if we could sign in March or April, hopefully in Q4 or by the first of next year, we would be up and running with this CAD to CAD.
Okay. Well, let's make sure we have that updated information as soon as possible to both the administrators in our county and the council and our partners. Bill, you look like you wanted to say something.
Well, I'm just wondering, do we want to make a recommendation to finance? Or do we want
for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. If you're ready to.
Yeah, if there's no other further discussion from the group.
Okay.
Brent or Terry or John?
No.
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 Okay. Well, one thing I would like to, one thing that came to light, I think for me at least, in that EMS Oversight Committee, was not only the reaction time to getting on scene, but also the updates that would come through the CAD to CAD. Is that a fair statement, John?
Yep, that's correct, Bill.
So it's not only the reaction time and getting there, which is happening now through radios, but it's also sort of seeing the updates as they come. So anyway, with that, I would make a motion that we take this to finance and that we approve whatever outlay of money to get the
Up to,
going up to $100,000.
and I will second. Is there any further discussion? Go ahead, Bill.
Should I clarify that? Well, I suppose that's a finance thing to talk about ARPA.
You can put a thing on the motion with that it's ARPA. I think that's what you're getting at.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll revise that the recommendation would be to use ARPA funds for that.
And I do agree with that. Any further discussion from anybody? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everybody who joined in on that conversation.
Thanks for working so hard at getting that going, you guys. Much appreciated.
You are welcome. All right, 4D, alley lighting in the downtown district. I know this has kind of been an on and off, and this comes from Alderperson Brooke, and I believe it went to Jeff or Dean.
Went to me. I had some conversations. Well, I went through and plotted out where the current lights are. Had some conversations with Mike Mraz. There are currently essentially 2 lights in each alley block, if you call it that. I don't know if you can see it on your forms, but I kind of made a little highlight where lights are located. That was the best I could do with my technological abilities. But for demonstrative purposes, I think it fits, right? One of the big problems in talking to Mike about adding additional lighting anywhere is that there's really no place left to mount additional lighting. Meaning there's no pole. We'd have to set new poles or somehow fasten them to buildings, which, opens kind of a whole new can of worms.
Well, we may be able to do the outreach to XL Energy in regards to community engagement on this. And I don't know if that's a Dean thing, probably.
Yeah, I mean, we have contacts at Excel, and we can look a little bit more at maybe some of the, if they have some more, I guess, outside of the box options for. There's usually what they'll do for Excel is they'll just mount a light to their existing pole, something like that. Pretty easy for them to do, and we essentially rent the light from them. And so I don't know if they have the mounting a light to a wall is called usually a wall pack. So I'm not sure if Excel does those, or if that would be something that instead we could, partner with some of the local businesses down there to, say, hey, can we put this light on the side of your building so there's more light downtown? Or I don't know. We have to figure some details out with that.
Well, prompted by safety paramount for both employees and their guests at their restaurants and shops. This came to light even more, no pun intended, even through the pandemic and the closing down of the cities when everybody was over here. We all know what happened. So this has kind of been on the radar quite a bit, and now there's even more of it because I guess employees are really telling their ownership that they need more light. And this is a no-brainer to me. If there's the way to figure it out, we need to do it. It's based on safety for those employees and the guests and the residents as a whole. So it is kind of a bigger task, Dean, but this is something we should definitely start and digging into and work with work with the community engagement officer at Excel and the ownerships of businesses down there that are backed up against those alleys and anywhere that's really a dark spot.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say too, going back to Jeff and relatedly Mike's comment, we as a city only have like 15 feet of width in that alley. That's how the alleys were platted way back when. So another option usually is to have the city put up their own lights, in a lighting system or whatnot. But because we only have 15 feet, and essentially that's the entire width of the pavement of the alley, probably wouldn't work for this situation. So yeah, we'll look into all the options.
Don't we have extra poles from 2nd Street laying around somewhere?
Well, we have those old ones from
Well,
there, but I'm just saying,
You're talking
Yeah.
about right of way, Dean?
yeah, the right of way is an issue essentially for that area down there in any of those alleys. So,
well,
yeah,
dig into
we'll
it.
real research the options. We'll say that.
So have that on our next meeting for sure. And we'll need to let's try to move this along. Let's not do the slow walk of government because it's important. Any other questions on that?
Do you want formal action on this? Or no?
Yes, to hold their feet to the fire. Sorry, Dean.
Do you want to make the motion? You want me to make the motion?
Go ahead, whatever.
Move to direct staff to work with Excel Community Outreach, as well as local businesses to add lighting to our alleyways and to bring back options that we can move on in the next public safety meeting.
Second, is that fair, Dean? Okay. Thank you all. Any further discussion? Questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, and thank you, Dean and Jeff, for bringing that to us.
Yep.
Next item. Hold on. Is it police update?
We have informational items, but I don't
Hold
have.
on, I lost my agenda. Informational items for our next meeting.
May I don't know if it's an item for the next meeting, but just want to let the committee know that we are submitting a grant application for some signal upgrades, Carmichael Road and Center Drive and Hanley Road, both those intersections. I know it's come up a number of times about how many crashes have been happening out on Carmichael Road, especially related to left turns. And I know obviously public safety is very important. So hopefully we will be successful in this grant application. It sounds promising based on the benefit cost analysis that WSDOT has done for us on that. You have to score at least one. One is essentially like the benefit exactly equals the cost, and the higher the better. And our number was 30, so that's good. So we're hopeful to hear back sometime in April if we got.
Do you want that on the April meeting then? Or May?
For
update on that?
Probably May, just to be safe. I don't know exactly when in April we would get that notification. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah. Okay, good. Thank you. All right. Updates number 6, EMS. Mr. Mueller.
All right. So Matt Canifex kind of already introduced himself, but maybe Matt, if you can kind of do an official introduction to the committee here, that'd be great.
Yes, good evening, everybody. Again, my name is Matthew Canifex. I'm the operations supervisor at Lakeview. I took over for Bridget Murphy in essentially the beginning of December. I've been with Lakeview for almost 21 years now, so I'm no stranger to our area and your area. And I'm happy to be with the group. Thank you.
Welcome aboard. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was very exciting to hear Matt's interest when Bridget announced that she would be moving on. So Matt's just great for the position, and you guys will have a good time working with him too. Other than that, we don't have a lot of things to update. I did send you guys out the third quarter and fourth quarter report and an annual report for your review. I don't really have anything to say about it. There's no, Shazam things in it. Everything's good. We've had a good year, very busy year. Again, we set records every month last year. I just highlight maybe December was our busiest month that we've ever had. We did 1,135 calls in December. Just kind of crazy busy. I guess the good news is in January here, we've kind of gone a little bit back to normal volume. So COVID
You
hit us.
full staff, John?
Yeah, we are full staffed. Yeah, so all is good. Any questions on anything and I can answer?
No, good. Thank you,
That's all I
John.
got to report. Thank you.
Fire Department, Chief Martin.
Yeah, it's kind of like John said, it's kind of status quo lately. I think most people know that I announced my retirement, and they'd asked me to stay on until the new chief was in place. I believe next week they'll probably post the job. I know Mr. Reeves has worked with the PFC to get that process going. Also,
I
think
believe me and Bill were looking to block that resignation tonight.
We were, yeah. I moved.
Bill, are you ready to?
Well, it's a good. Don't ask too many people because I think that they might swing your vote a little the other way. I don't know, but I appreciate that. But no, it's been good, and I appreciate it. And obviously, I still got a ways to go, but the process will be going. And I'm also would like to initiate the process because we do not have an active list right now. So that when the new chief is in place, that the process is going. We're right now we had one resignation, but we're still actually above our staffing. But I would like to get a list because we do not have a list in place. So so I'll talk to the PFC about that. The only kind of other update is our boat. We're like everything in supply chain, the boat's totally done, but they're waiting on the motor. They're expecting sometime this month. So just kind of wait and see and what happens with that. So other than that, that's about it.
Well, I'll personally give you an attaboy. You've been with us through some big development plans, and your leadership was instrumental in getting us a new public safety fire building. So that's much appreciated, along with the other apparatuses in the boat as well. You've done a heck of a job for the city of Hudson.
Well, I really appreciate work with all of you, and it's been it has seriously been a pleasure, and it's nice to work with people who listen. And obviously you guys ask questions and that, but you're always professional, and I really appreciate it. So I'll still be here for a little while. So
No,
don't waste don't waste all the good comments right now. Save one, Randy. For
I'll hold back.
There's at least one
that's
more public safety meeting for you, Scott. Right?
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys. I'll let the police go ahead.
Thanks, Scott. Jeff, go ahead.
We in the last month we hired our last 3 patrol officers to get us up to full staff, so they are all currently in FTO. The first one we hired, guess it would be working backwards, number 4, completed his FTO process over the weekend, so he'll be coming out on his own starting on Monday. So we'll just have the 3 in FTO. Unfortunately, I was notified today that one of our SROs is leaving for the private sector to move closer to family down south. So we were at full staff for 4 days. We're back to the drawing board. But we do have a list. He's actually going to be staying with us until April. So we've got some time to try and get that slot approved, and then his replacement approved and hired. So other than that, we are extraordinarily busy for a January and February. We just had a homicide over the weekend, and then right with the armed robbery that we had on Friday. So things are not slowing down like we thought they would.
Now, that has not been made public yet, Jeff, so I don't know if you want Any more details about that or
You
for the
know,
public?
I could probably do a press release to put something out, but it's still pretty active, so I'm not gonna release a lot of that.
Nothing that the public needs to be concerned about.
No concern for overall public safety with
Okay.
this one. So
Thank you.
it
It's unfortunate. Our record's been pretty good.
well, yeah, and it's not like the same kind of thing that you see in some of the big cities, right? Where it's just this one's a little bit different.
Bad time in perception, though. You know what I mean.
Yep. Nope, I hear you.
Okay.
Other than that, we've been working on getting the annual report for 21 done. So that should be going off to print here pretty quick, and I'll get that in your guys' hands as soon as we get it. 21 on face value was kind of a status quo. We had a few thousand more calls for service, but spread out over, everything that we do. But you can still pretty much throw a hypothesis out with every type of complaint that we're going to be dispatched to. Sorry. With
Okay.
every type of dispatch that we're going to get called to, plus or minus 5%, generally speaking. So that's good. The IBR reports will be attached to that, and that will indicate no significant increase or decrease in criminal activity.
Okay. Any questions for Jeff? No.
None for me.
All right. Anything for next agenda, Bill?
Nothing off the top of my head, no.
Okay. Any other information before the committees?
Not for
If
me.
not,
Move to adjourn.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.